Hey guys, it's Dang here. So in this video we are going to be looking at a variation of a Condemn build that I've been using. This build is the T6 and G30 plus Bible build. So before we get started, I just want to state that this is currently on a Windows and a Mac Seasonal 1 character only. If you're watching this after Season 1 is completed, which is probably around December or before or after, then you're pretty good. For the Xbox and PlayStation versions, you will have to wait until Seasonal is enabled for you. So let's get started. This build, like many others, is heavily dependent on cooldown reduction, so please keep that in mind. We're looking for at least 55% cooldown reduction. First, we're going to be looking at the list of gears that we need and the stats on them. Then we're going to look at the Paragon Levels, the skills, and lastly, the legendary gems. So the first two set of items we need for this is the Freyder's Wrath and the Blade of Prophecy. Freyder's Wrath is actually important for this build because it removes the cooldown to Condemn, but it also costs 40 Wrath instead now. There's still going to be a 1 second global cooldown to it though, which is not really a problem. Next is the Blade of Prophecy, which turns all enemies that you hit with your initial Condemn into Condemn bombs. So in other words, the more enemies around you, the faster they all die. That's how it works. It's like a bomb, it's a chain synchronous reaction. The next set of items that we're looking for is the Leoric's Crown, Armor of Akkhan set, and the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Leoric's Crown is best in slot for this build because of its passive. It increases gem power by 75% to 100%. This will greatly help our cooldown reduction by a lot. Normally, the Flawless Royal Gem Diamond allows for a 12.5% cooldown reduction, but with the crown, it will get you the 25% cooldown reduction if you have 100%. If you do get this helm, please do not salvage or vendor. It's actually really good and pretty rare as well. For the Akkhan set, we are going to need the shoulders, gloves, chest, leggings, and boots for the 6-piece set. Yes, we are missing the helm in the list because it is being occupied by Leoric's Crown. We need the 6-piece set because it will help reduce our Akkarat's champion by 50% and also our skill by 50% while it is active. So with that being said, we need the Ring of Royal Grandeur, which will help you obtain that 6-piece set with only 5 pieces. Now, if you're new to the game and don't have any gears to do torments, higher torments, then check out my video on how to farm for the ring. If you can't do torment 3 and 6, then I would suggest you doing that to farm the ring instead. So let's look at the last pieces of gears that's left over. For the neck, I would suggest if you can't get a hold of a Hellfire Amulet with the passive of Finery, Long Arm of the Law, and Indestructible, then go with that. If you can't get that, then the other necks you can get is Halcyon Ascent for its passive to knock off effect when you use your Akkarat's champion, or the S of Johan for its passive to pull enemies in, which also does a knock up type of effect. For bracers, we'll need the Strong Arm Bracers for its passive. Enemies hit by knockback will suffer 20 to 30% increase in damage for 5 seconds. This effect also includes any knock up type of effect or pulling type of animation. So that means the Halcyon and the S of Jordan passive effects will benefit from the bracers. For belt, the Witching Hour or Vigilante is recommended for this build and only these 2 belts. Any other belt is not going to be adequate or suffice at all. For the Witching Hour, it will be increase in DPS, or for Vigilante belt, it will be increase in cooldown reduction. So either or will suffice, it's up to you to choose. As long as it hits 55% cooldown reduction or more, you're pretty good. Lastly is the other ring. Unity ring is required to survive for higher greater rifts. So you need one for you, one for your follower, and he will also need his Immortal Relic. This will reduce all damage you take by 50%. So now that's done, let's look at the stats that we need for the items. First is Leoric's Crown. We need the passive to be at least 90% or more to be more effective, but if it's lower, that's still fine. Secondly, you need Socket, then critical hit chance, strength, and vitality. For the shoulders, you're looking for cooldown reduction, strength, vitality, and resist all. For chest, it'll be 3 sockets, strength, vitality, and resist all. For gloves, it'll be cooldown reduction, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and then strength. For bracers, it's passive to be as high as possible, critical hit chance, holy skill damage, strength, and then vitality. Of course, cooldown reduction, strength, vitality, and armor. If it's the Witching Hour, it's critical hit damage, attack speed, strength, and vitality. For the leggings, you're looking for 2 sockets, strength, vitality. Now regen or armor or slash dam. For legging, it's 2 sockets, strength, vitality, and then you can either choose regen life or armor or an increase in slash damage. Whichever one you choose, it's still okay. For boots, it's 12% increase in movement speed, strength, vitality, and all resist. For neck, you're looking for socket, and then cooldown reduction, and then increase in critical hit damage, and then strength. For rings, you're looking for sockets first, then cooldown reduction, and then critical hit chance, critical hit damage, or attack speed, and then strength. For Blade of Prophecy, it will always come with cooldown reduction, but make sure that it's as high as possible, so 9% or 10%. Then you're looking for damage increase percentage or attack speed, and then strength. Use Ramalali's gift for a socket. Lastly, it's our shield. You're looking for cooldown reduction, then critical hit chance, strength, and vitality, and the last stats is whatever you want it to be. So you can either be socket or wrath regeneration. So there are a lot of cooldown reduction as priority on these items, but you don't need to have them on all of the items. Just a combination to have over 55% cooldown reduction. As you can see, I didn't have it in my shield or one of my rings, and I still have over 57% cooldown reduction. Alright, now let's get on to the Paragon levels and where you should put them. For core stats, we want to put it into movement speed until you hit 25% of maximum speed. So in this case, if you have boots that are 12%, you're looking to put in 13% into your Paragon level, and then the rest can go into strength afterwards. For offensive, first will always be cooldown reduction, then critical hit chance, then critical hit damage, and then attack speed. For defense, you're looking for resist all first, and then armor, and then life regen, and then of course life will be last. For utility, resource cost reduction first, area damage, then life on hit, then lastly gold fine. And that's pretty much straightforward. Next up is the skill. This is my current setup. Let's look at our main skill, Condemn. So there are a few runes to choose from: Vacuum, Unleash, and Reciprocate. Now the best one I would recommend using is Vacuum over the others. Unleash and Reciprocate sounds good, but they are actually not. They are really truly a huge DPS loss. With these two runes, you would have to be chasing the mobs, especially the ones that run away or they're range mobs. With Vacuum, they get sucked in and suffer from the knock-up effect, which benefits from the Storm Arm bracers, plus it also benefits from cold plus damage. I actually ran with Unleash and Reciprocate, and it actually did not end very well at all. So trust me, Vacuum is the best. Next will be our left mouse button, which is going to be Slash with the Zeal rune, which benefits from holy damage, does AoE damage as well, and it increases our attack speed by 10%. Next you're going to need is Decharge with Endurance rune. This is a must and required period. You cannot really complete a higher rift without this. Well, you can complete it, but you won't progress fast. This skill and rune actually saves you a lot of traveling time as one. Second is that it's also lifesaver. For me, I constantly use it as an escape method, especially when I'm in between a rock and hard place and I can't really move. Like let's say if there was Jailer up and Arcane, I can just hit it and dash out. Especially when all my other cooldowns are off at the moment. It helps me to escape that really bad situation. So this is a must. I mean, if you don't want to use Endurance, you can use Rejuvenation if you want to. Alright, so next is going to be our other main and very important skill is the Akkarat's Champion. It increases our damage by 35% and allows us to move unhindered. This skill does have a 90 seconds cooldown, which is a huge problem. 90 seconds is an eternity in Diablo 3. So this is why we have the 6 set bonus from Akkhan's set, which will help reduce it by 50%. So what's left over is 45 seconds. We need to eliminate this further by another 25 to 26 seconds to always have Akkarat's Champion up. And it's very important to have it up at all time. So with all the other cooldown reduction we have from our gears, as I mentioned in the gears section, we're aiming for at least 55 to 57%. So right now I have cooldown reduction on my helm, shoulders, gloves, belt, and ring. Also my Paragon level as well. That adds up to 57% cooldown reduction. So as you can see, when I activate Akkarat's Champion, it does have a 20 seconds overall buff duration, and we're looking for it to last longer than the cooldown itself. So as you can see, this is almost done, and that's almost done. Let's see. There you go. With 57%, I can activate Akkarat's Champion again before the buff finishes. That's what we want. Now, if I were to use the Witching Hour instead of the Vigilante belts, I would actually have to wait an extra second for it to goes off. It's really up to you if you can last that 1 second or not. I mean, I sure can, so I'm pretty much you can too. Now, the rune that we are going to be using is pretty obvious. It's going to be Profit. It's pretty obvious why. The 100% increase in armor is extremely good, but the second passive is going to be another lifesaver as well. Whenever you hit 0 HP, it returns you back to full, and there is a cooldown. That cooldown is actually how long your current Akkarat's champion buff is left. So when that buff, which is like 20 seconds, is done, the second passive will activate again as long as there is a new Akkarat's champion buff up. The next skill we're going to use is a Law. Now that Law and rune will be up to you. You can either use depending on how you play. So currently I'm using the Law of Justice with Decaying Strength. Passively, it'll give you 140 resist to all, and actively it'll give you another extra 350 resist to all. Although it says 490, it doesn't stack up with the passive 140. So it's a total 490. But not only that, but it will also help reduce mob damage by 15%, stacking up to 4 times, which means 60% total. So that's actually pretty good. Now if you look at my toughness right now, it's at 10 million. If I activate Akkarat's champion, it'll jump to 20 million, and if I activate the Law, it'll jump up to 25 million. That actually helps to negate a lot of damage, and I can actually survive in higher rip with it on. And because of the help of the cooldown reduction, there's only a delay of 4 seconds in between when I can activate the Law again. So the other Law that you can use, especially when you're starting out and you are resource hungry, that means you don't have enough wrath, is the Law of Valor, Unstoppable Force. It helps you to reduce all your skills by 50%. So that means if Akkarat's champion's up, and this is up as well, your Condemn uses only 10 wrath instead of 20 or even 40. Now with our last skill. So currently I use Shield Glare Divine Verdict to increase my DPS by an extra 20% right there for 4 seconds. Because of cooldown reduction, I only have to wait 2 seconds, so this will always be pretty much up all the time. Plus it also helps to crowd control the mobs for 4 seconds. This also includes bosses as well. The other skill that you can use, especially when you're starting out, is Provoke, which helps you to regenerate 30 wrath or more depending on how much mobs you have around you. And the rune that you want to use is Too Scared to Run, because it will taunt all the enemies and their attack speed is reduced by 50%. So that means extra survivability for you. You can't really take that much damage. Let's go into our passive skills. So Heavenly Strength is pretty much obvious, I don't need to explain this. Just keep in mind that your damage is reduced by 20% though. Next is of course Holy Cause. It increases our damage by 10%, so that negates the Heavenly Strength 20%, so in other words it's decreased by 10% only. But it also allows us to heal ourselves with all the holy damage we do by 1% of our total life, which is actually quite a lot. Next is Long Arm of the Law, because it extends my Law by another 5 seconds, so my laws will be active for 10 seconds. With all the cooldown reduction, as I mentioned before, there's a 4 to 3 seconds wait until the next one. So this is actually pretty much good, for me anyways. I mean, you can change this to binary if you want to, that's totally up to you. And of course lastly, it's pretty obvious we're going to be using Indestructible. So this is almost like the Akkarat's champion Profit rune, except for it does have a 60 seconds cooldown, but it also increases our damage by another 35%, and you also become immune for 5 seconds. Couple this with the Akkarat's champion Profit rune, you're pretty much invincible, godly, but still, you can still die, so be careful. So with all the skills that are listed and used, there's actually a lot of crowd controlling, especially every 2 seconds you blind mobs, you vacuum them in, every 20 seconds you get to make them dance and jump with the Akkarat's champion, the Halcyon effect. So it's actually pretty good. There's a lot of healing and of course DPS as well, so this is actually a really good build. So lastly we're going to look into is the legendary gems. For legendary gems, I'm currently using the Bane of Trap, the Myriad Teardrop of the Star Weaver, and the Pain Enhancer. Now you can mix match these ones if you want to, and it's highly recommended that you use these ones. There's another one I'm missing on here, but these ones are pretty good. If you're low on cooldown reduction, then I would suggest you use the Gokak of Swiftness because it increases your cooldown reduction by 15%. Alright, so that's pretty much the build itself. It's actually a really fun build. I enjoy this build. For higher graded rift level, it all depends on your playing style, how much you survive, your legendary gems, and how lucky you are with the rift that's generated for you, because it is based on luck at the moment. Sometimes you'll go into a rift with a lot of mobs, and sometimes you go into a rift with few mobs in between, and that sucks balls. So before we finish, these 3 items are actually for the Phalanx build, and it's pretty much easy. All you have to do is get a furnace, get the unrelenting Phalanx, get the Haunt of Vaxel, change your skills a little bit to Phalanx, Stampeding, and you're pretty much good to go. You can also reconfigure this except for the Phalanx, Akkarat's Champion, and of course the Steed Charge. Everything else is interchangeable. Anyways, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helps you out. I hope you like it. If you do, press like and of course share it. And of course don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!